everybody, it is April and I'm in my craft room. Thank you for joining me today. If you like crafty videos, please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. So let's make a panel quilt with 4 patch blocks for border. I have a fun fall panel. Let me show you the panel. It's really cute. I know you're probably not going to be able to see the whole thing, but it has a pumpkin snowman. What could be cuter than a pumpkin snowman? And I have some coordinating fabrics. And I decided that my border is going to be a 4 patch block. And I'm going to sew these coordinating fabrics in strips to create those 4 patch blocks. Here are my fabrics that I plan on using to make my 4 patches. So what I want to do is I want to cut out 6.5 inch strips. I've already cut out these, so now I need to do this with the rest of my fabric. And this dark fabric, I'm going to make a 4-inch border. So I'm going to cut this out at 4.5 inches. Here is my panel. So the top of my panel is 36 inches. I'm thinking the side's going to be about 40. Okay, the side is actually 45. So 45 and 45 is 90. And 36 and 36 is 72. 72 plus 90 equals 162 divided by 40 would be over 4. So I need 5 4.5 inch strips of my border that's going around my panel. Okay, so let's do that first, because then our panel gets larger. So now I've got my border. This fabric is directional, so you cannot cut it. Well, you can cut it the way you normally would, but you're going to have your baskets and your scarecrows turning in multiple directions. So I am going to cut it so that my scarecrows and my apple baskets will all be facing the right way. All right, so I'm going to cut this at 6.5 inches. So I've got 3 6.5 inch strips. So now we have our pieces cut out, and what I'm going to do is sew strips. And then my plan is to cut those strips at 6.5 inches. So I think I want to mix and match. I've got my little strips to sew, 1/4 inch seam. Get this bad boy going. And if you want to use clips, you can use clips. Once I get all of my strips sewn together, Then I am going to press them. So now that I have my fabric pressed, I am going to cut it at 6.5 inches so that I can make blocks. So here is my fabric. This is an 8-inch ruler. So the first thing I'm going to do is straighten out the edge. So now I have a straight edge, and I'm going to measure 6.5 inches. Now if we take my other strip, and here I'm going to line it up at 6.5 inches, 6.5 inches. Cut my block, and what's going to happen is this is going to be my 4-patch. And because I'm going to have the color opposite color, my seams should nest nicely because I pressed toward the color fabric. So let's run over here and stitch it really quick. Get my seams lined up. And here you will see, and here's my 4-patch. So here I have all of my 6.5 inch strips with sets of 2 strips cut by 6.5 inches. I'm going to put these 2 together. So I'm going to stack them with my seam side towards the sewing machine. And my goal is to have colors here and patterns here, or patterns here and colors here. I just want to go over one more time how to put your strips together to make a 4-patch quilt block. You are going to put your strips right sides together, and you want to line up your seams. If you press towards the solid fabric on all of the strips that you sew together, you will have the bulk of your fabric on the side of the solid fabric. So since I am making my solids kitty corner, I can nest my seams. And when you nest your seams, essentially it's just kind of locking them together. And then so you should have the perfect 4-patch. And when I say perfect 4-patch, I mean that all of the points of your squares meet in the center. Now, you don't have to have perfect 4-patches, and not all of mine are perfect, but that's what I strive for. But I'm not going to rip any stitches out if that's not what I get. Now, the next step in the process is to put things where you can see what they're going to look like and move fabrics around so that you get the look you want. So what I've done is I have put my panel on my design wall, and then here is a strip of that dark green border that I'm going to put all around my panel. I've added my 4-patch blocks so that I get a design that I like. I also noticed that all of my print was on the same side. I put some more 4 patches together because I do have more than one of that particular panel, and if I decide that I like what I did with this, I can use those on my other panel, or I have some similar fall panels, or I can make pillows. There's always something that you can do with these blocks. You could make a purse, just anything. And if you would like to see a tutorial on what to do with some of your leftover blocks, put it down in the comments below. So I am going to take away one of these with the print on the same side and add this. Now I was kind of trying to stay away from the green and the green, and I've got the green and the green down here. So I'll do that. Then I think I'll do something with the rust color on the outside. Now here I do have another print on the same side, and there's more green. Come on, let's find some rust. That's both. And that has some rust in it, so I'm going to put that there. And this I kind of consider a print, so I think we're gonna go with it. If anybody looks that closely, then they shouldn't be looking that closely. My next step is going to be adding that border to my panel. Ignore the fact that this is crooked, because you know, when you're standing right there hanging something up, it's hard to tell if it's crooked or not, and it was a little bit of a challenge to get it to stay up without pins. So I have put the borders around the panel, and I have put my blocks next to it. Now I've got a little bit of space left over at the bottom. I'm going to just divide that, cut a couple strips, and have strips at the top and the bottom. That's my plan. I just had a brilliant idea. I have these pieces left over from where I cut my strips. What I'm going to do is use these to put at the end of my row of 4 patches, and then I don't have to cut any more fabric. I just use some leftovers that I don't know what I would have done anyway. So, light bulb moment. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew these 4 patches together, add my little strips at the end, and then I need to put those on each side, and then I will start on the top part. Here I have sewn my 2 4 patches together, and I will add one of these little strips at the top. I think I'll go ahead and use the green and wood together. I am struggling to get this whole quilt in frame. I think this is the largest quilt that I have made yet. And I'm really pleased with the way it turned out. My 4 patches are the border, and I've got this cute center pumpkin. I'm really happy with it. I like the colors. Now my patches of print fabric are they're not all dispersed evenly, but at some point in the project I let that go because I could have fiddled with it and fiddled with it and fiddled with it, and in order to make them perfect, and at some point in the project I lose interest. I know I have had some requests to do some larger quilts on my Q-Zone hoop frame. I believe there is an opportunity for me to do that. Thank you for joining me on this project. I hope that it was helpful. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Click on the subscribe button if you would like to see more crafty videos, including card making, paper crafting, quilting, and sewing projects. Please share this video with any of your friends who might also be interested, and I would like to hear what projects you're working on. So if you have some projects that you'd like to share, please put them in the comments below. If you have any suggestions on what design you think I should use on this quilt, I would like to hear about that too. Have a great day, eat some chocolate, be kind to everyone, and goodbye. Do over. Do over. I don't know what I'm going to say. Arrgh.